Hey y'all, this is Jessica with Bless Your Heart. Let's glitter some medical shears today. I have taped off where the actual handles and the shear meets, and I'm just lightly sanding over all of the handle parts. Then I'm going to spray them down with some alcohol, wipe them off, and get ready for the next step. My glitter choice is Trendsetter from Peachy Olive Glitters. My adhesion layer today is going to be UV resin. I'm going to do one side of the handle first and then move on to the other side of the handle. For my first side, and it's going to be the same for both sides, I'm going to apply the thinnest absolute layer on these handles just to get the glitter to stick. This is a chunkier glitter, so I am going to go in and kind of pat the glitter down to try to keep it from being so bulky. But we're going to do one side, we're going to cure until it is no longer tacky, and then we're going to move on to the other side. This next side is the exact same thing as the first side, the thinnest layer possible of resin. You do want to try to get into all of those nooks and crannies, but be a little bit careful to not get it on the actual shear. A buildup of epoxy could make them not close correctly. But we want to get this completely covered with the resin, sprinkle our glitter on, and then you want to cure it underneath the UV light. I end up going in and doing about 2 minutes per side of handle just to make sure that that light penetrates as far as possible, and we make sure that that UV resin is as dry as it's going to get. Once the glitter layer is dry, we're going to go in and do our first layer of actual resin over the glitter. And I'm just going to do very thin layers because we are going to have to do several layers. But I'm still just working on one handle side, and then I'm moving to the other handle side. And now that we're not under glitter, you want to cure this UV resin until it is no longer tacky to the touch. Once one side is done, you want to move on to the next side, and it is the exact same thing. Cover the whole thing with epoxy, let it cure under the UV light until it is no longer tacky to the touch. Now these particular shears have a little hole where a keychain type thing can go in, and I do have a buildup of epoxy in there. So I'm going to take my little Dremel tool here with just a regular drill bit, and I'm going to kind of waller out that hole. I am going to waller it out to make it a little bit bigger so I can put a more stout keychain ring on there. But after I get that done, I'm going to go in, and this is going to be our final layers of epoxy on the actual shear. And I am going to be mindful to try to not get any more in that little hole, but I'm going to get all my nooks and crannies, and I'm going to cure these until no longer tacky to the touch. Now I'm going to give these to a friend, so of course I've got to be a little bit extra. For my little round here, I'm using Jacksonville from Peachy Olive Glitters, and this is just a 1.75 inch acrylic round. I'm going to go in and sand my first side that I'm going to work on. I'm going to clean it off with some rubbing alcohol, and I'm going to apply my glitter with this also with UV resin. I'm going to apply just a little bit of UV resin to this side of the round, and I'm going to use this little silicone brush here to kind of move the resin all over the round. Once I get it covered to my liking, I am going to go in with my barbecue lighter and warm that resin up just a little bit. And that is going to help with the self-leveling properties of the UV resin, so we don't have any of those wonky kind of dips and valleys. But once we get that done, I'm going to go in and do full coverage on this side of the round with that glitter, and we're going to get it under our UV light and let it completely dry. To kind of help ensure that it dries flat as possible, I'm going to prop my light up on two of my nail tape boxes. But once that's dry enough, we're going to go in and we're just going to seal that glitter in with another layer of UV resin. This is the exact same way we've been doing this whole time. We want to take this little tool and kind of push the resin about. Careful to not go over the edge, but we can make that work if it goes over the edge. We've still got that protective sheet on the back. Once we get all of this resin where we want it, we're going to hit it with our barbecue lighter just to kind of help with bubbles and leveling, and then we're going to cure it under our light until it is no longer tacky to the touch. For our decals today, I just went on to Creative Fabrica, and I found this Respiratory Therapist and this little set of lungs. I am going to place the lungs on the side of this round that we have already been working on, and I'm going to just press it on and kind of burnish it down until it's nice and stuck. And then we are going to put another layer of UV resin on this, and we're going to let it cure again until it is no longer tacky to the touch. But we mainly want to make sure that whenever we move on to the next side, that we're not going to get any fingerprints on the side that we are done with. When we're done with that side, we're going to move on to the next side. We are going to remove that protective sheet, and we are going to sand it just to kind of make sure that that vinyl sticks real good. Clean it up, and then we're going to move on to our decal. We're going to start with the RT, which stands for Respiratory Therapist, and we're going to center that to the best of our ability. And then over the top of that, we are going to do a textured silver that says Therapist. And when we get that on there, we are going to do a really good layer of UV resin on this, and then we are going to add all of our keychain hardware. These scissors came with this stretchy cord at the bottom, and I am just going to add some jump rings to the end of the cord here. I'm just going to probably 2 or so of them, and with jump rings you want to make sure that you stretch them up and down, not out. If you stretch them out, you are going to weaken the actual jump ring and it will kind of snap on you. But once you get all those in there, you want to adhere it to the actual keychain round, put everything together, and then you want to put this back on to your actual shears, and then we're going to check out our handiwork. And here we go. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. I hope to see you again soon. Bye.